Fishers Farmers Market and the Spark Fishers 5K. Be happy to answer any questions.
Can you speak to the length of the contract?
Yep, so it would be effective immediately if approved by this board and would be a term of 15 years. There's sort of a process of extending that beyond that timeline if both parties are mutually amicable to that.
Timing of funds?
Timing of the funds would begin this year, so really, as soon as this week, we could issue an invoice for year one.
Okay.
And what would be the use of those funds?
So the first 5 years would be primarily to provide kind of startup funding for the community center. There's a pro forma that contemplates those monies being really kind of helpful to getting our legs under us for operations, but by the end of the 5th year, we really would kind of be tapered down and not really needing any sponsorship dollars to be completely independent financially. And so from that point forward, it would really be funding that would help expand properties, operations, programming throughout the Parks Department for the City of Fishers.
So is it safe to say in those first few years, it significantly reduces the burden on tax revenue to
100%.
Subsidize the community center?
Yes, 100%.
And what about like signage on the trail? Like, are we gonna have to replace existing signage, or as it fails, or is it not fails, but as it needs replacement? What's the?
Yeah, great question. So there's a number of deliverables included in this. Some of them are digital, so more like newsletters and social media and websites that we would partner logos. And just to clarify too, the way this would be consistently mentioned across all 5 assets would be the title of the asset, strengthened by IU Health. The signage in particular is something that we negotiated, and that would actually be the responsibility of the sponsor of IU Health to replace. And that's not an insignificant number. We would work with them on signs that have not yet been made. So for example, the Fishers Community Center, we haven't created those yet, and they wouldn't be on the hook for purchasing those. But for any that have to be redone, they would be paying for it.
Okay.
Any additional questions?
Nope.
Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Got a motion by Jeff. I will second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks for your work on this, Jake. I know it's been a long, winding road. Next and final presentation today, we have our consideration of a connection road from Laurel Falls to Knightsbridge Lane. Before Mecky, you begin your presentation, just want to share with the audience first and foremost, thank you for coming out this morning. Really appreciate your interest in this matter. The way that we're going to handle this is, I know that there was a presentation provided to the neighborhoods the other night so that residents could see the information. Today, this is just a presentation to the board. There won't be any public comment, and there won't be a public decision today. We're going to provide this information to us as well to you, and then over the next 30 days, allow everyone to digest that, provide your comments. At the next meeting, the next Board of Public Works meeting, there will be an opportunity for residents to step forward and share either their opposition or support to this concept, and then we'll deliberate and make a decision likely at that meeting. So today, look forward to Mecky. Yes?
Not the next one, not the 11th, but the 25th.
30 days from now.
Yeah, 30,
whatever's
okay.
Whatever's on the calendar. So you have 30 days to, thank you, Jeff. Yeah, 30 days to deliberate. So Mecky, without further ado, look forward to hearing your presentation. Hopefully Jeff and I will have some questions, and then we'll go from there.
Thank you very much. Again, my name is Hatem Mecky, City of Fishers Director of Engineering, and just for everyone's benefit, I know everyone's been looking for the report. We do have an amendment to the report that is available after this meeting. Unfortunately, it was about 530 pages, so it's a lot of documents that are involved in it. So we were going to be contacting IT and figuring out a way that we can provide it and make it public for everyone to see. So just wanted to let everyone know that that's available there. Again, this, just for everyone's knowledge, this is the Spyglass Falls recommendations from the City of Fishers Engineering Department. We have gone through this presentation with the residents on a Zoom call last Thursday. So this is our the department's presentation to the board. As for the agenda, we're going to go over just a brief history of the issues and brief history of the studies that we've conducted in the past years. We're going to go through the updates to the report for this year. We're also going to go through the recommendation from the City of Fishers Engineering Department to you, and also go over a couple of frequently asked questions that we've been receiving from the public. A brief history on the location. This is Spyglass Hill. This is from 1994. Just a brief overview of the location. This is, to your left is Cumberland Road, the north-south. And obviously the east-west is 116th Street, Spyglass Hill in the middle, which we can see that has begun the construction. And to its east is Lake Stonebridge, and to the west is the proposed Spyglass Falls location. Fast forward to 1996, 97 is the second portion of Spyglass Hills, as we can see there in the picture. And there was beginning construction on Lake Stonebridge, and fast forward to 2001, we can see Lake Stonebridge, Spyglass Hill, and the beginning of Spyglass Falls to the west. And today's configuration, we can see Cumberland to the west, 116th Street north, and Spyglass Falls has concluded the construction. The issue that the City of Fishers Engineering Department was tasked with is the issue of egress from Klotz Farm Boulevard from the Spyglass Falls intersection with 116th Street. The issue that we were tasked with is to look at the ease or the difficulty of getting out of Klotz Farm turning west. And as we can see here from this little diagram, there's a bunch of cars already in that painted median waiting to get in on 116th Street. And the issue that we have seen throughout the past 10 to 15 years is that there has been a lot of crashes in that intersection. So in 2016, the City of Fishers Engineering Department was tasked to look more into this issue, with our past director taking on this task and presenting the report to the board. Some of the highlights from the 2016 study is that engineering, PD, and fire met with the residents. They all came to the consensus that there was an issue and this needs to be studied along this intersection. There was some issues at the time of the report that didn't specifically narrow down the resolution. There was a lot of impact to the traffic on 116th Street. There were multiple projects going on at the time, so the traffic on 116th Street was imbalanced, if you will. There was a lot of diversion, a lot of detours that were going on, so it didn't necessarily give us the correct information that we needed on 116th Street. Obviously, with the biggest contributors, there's 106th and I-69 interchange, 82nd Street widening, and also a lot of development that was happening in the area from Topgolf and IKEA. Some of the crash data that was presented in the 2016 study, from 2010 to 2015, a 5-year period for that study, there were approximately 13 crashes in the Spyglass Falls intersection with 116th Street. 8 of those crashes were a right angle collision, a T-bone, that's well known as a T-bone. 3 of them were rear end collisions, and 4 of these 13 crashes resulted in injuries. To note, there was about 2 crashes in that intersection that involved deer, so we can probably not necessarily look at that as an issue. We looked also at Knightsbridge Lane and the amount of crashes that we've seen there, and it resulted into 2 crashes. There was also some neighborhood input in the 2016 study. Some of these highlights are listed here. We had residents say that request for us to make the connection between Spyglass Hill and Spyglass Falls. There was also communication that many children, joggers, and bikers will be in danger if this was to move forward. There is no sight distance on the road. There is significant construction, so this should be evaluated post-construction. And also, home values will decline in Spyglass Hill if this connection was made. The 2016 had potential solutions, which ranged from constructing the connector, closing the median on 116th Street in front of Spyglass Falls, construction of a traffic signal on 116th and Klotz Farm Boulevard, also constructing a traffic signal on 116th and Spyglass Drive, and another resolution was to continue this investigation and do nothing. And we come to the update to report here in 2024-2025, and we updated the report for the crash data from 2015 to 2025. So it's a longer period from when it was last looked at. It's about 10 years, and that resulted into 18 crashes at the Spyglass Falls and 116th Street entrance, 6 with injuries, and 12 had property damage in there. We also looked at Knightsbridge Lane. We tried to keep the same parameters from the last report to this report. We looked at Knightsbridge Lane, and it resulted into 2 crashes. One of them involved a parked car, and the other one was a rear end on the southbound Knightsbridge Lane. So just a summary, taking it from all the way from 2010 to 2025, we can see that Spyglass Falls on 116th entrance had about 31 crashes that ranged from failure to yield to rear end to T-bone, and Knightsbridge Lane had 4 crashes total on it. We also updated the report for the road volumes. We looked at 116th and Cumberland Road and the distinction between the road volumes along from 2015 to 2021. This data was available for our road impact fee studies. The study, just for information, it's done every 5 years. So it's upcoming that we have another count on 116th and Cumberland Road in this whole entire year. So we'll hopefully update those values once we get them. But this is the value that we have currently. And we can see the stark contrast between the AADT, the average annual daily traffic, from 2015 to 2021 on 116th Street. We can see it went from approximately 28,000 to 42.5. Also, we looked at Cumberland, since these are the 2 main roads that are potentially getting impacted. And Cumberland Road went from 10,491 in 2015 to 12,105 in 2021. We also updated the report for the solutions. In addition to what we proposed in 2016th Street, we went into an iterative process to look deeply into a lot of these recommendations. We looked at these proposed alternatives, and we updated each and every one of them more in depth with its cost and its applicability for construction. We then listed all those in 2 matrices. The first one was the initial one before we did the iterative process, and then the second one, we refined those results and presented it for you in the report with pros and cons of each recommendation. The options proposed is we extension of Cascades Court to Cumberland Road. This is in the Spyglass Falls neighborhood. The connection of Niagara Drive to Cumberland Road. This is also in the Spyglass neighborhood. This is connections to Cumberland Road. We proposed the signal at Klotz Farm Boulevard. That's the intersection of 116th and Spyglass Falls neighborhood. Another signal at Spyglass Ridge Drive. That's the entrance of Spyglass Hill neighborhood. A roundabout at both Klotz Farm Boulevard or Spyglass Ridge Drive. And the last one was the connection between the Spyglass Falls and Hill neighborhoods. We're going to look at these options with some visuals so everyone's aware of them. This is the extension of Cascade to Cumberland. We've looked at this as far as construction and impact to the neighborhood. As you can see, there's 2 parcels that are going to be impacted. One of them is a total relocation for 1 resident. As you can see, this is in close proximity to Sand Creek ditch, which presents a lot of environmental issues, environmental impacts, construction and floodways, and also a lot of mitigation that comes in with it. And as we can see here, in order to make that connection, it gives us a very, very steep grade that is against all of our standards and a lot of the design criteria. This grade is approximately 9%. So obviously that is going to present a lot of challenges if that was constructed. In addition to all that, the cost of it is approximately $1.8 million, not taking into consideration a lot of the environmental impacts and mitigation and costs with the design. The second one that we looked at here is Niagara Drive to Cumberland Road. As you can see, this is a connection that will impact about 4 residents in the area, 1 resident along Cumberland Road and 1 resident along Niagara Drive. This is total acquisition of these 2 parcels and total relocation of these 2 residents with the impacts to the adjacent neighbors on Cumberland Road. As you can see here, the price is obviously steep, but the steepness of that price is because there is a large fill, as you can see here, that ranges from 5 to 10 feet of cut. That obviously goes into the construction costs. In addition, if we are going to make that cut, that goes into septic tanks, so that's environmental mitigation that is required with this option, in addition to multiple retaining walls that we would need to account for that that cut. Another one here is the signal at Klotz Farm. We have that option as well as the one on Spyglass Ridge. We did look into all of these and we looked at their warrants, and we are going to go into that warrant discussion later in the presentation. We looked at also the roundabout at Klotz Farm. We can see the majority of the impact there to 116th and Klotz Farm. It requires a lot of right-of-way, a lot of utility relocation. There were also going to be some walls on the north side just to account for that grade difference. And obviously the construction and the cost to it is pretty steep. We looked at another roundabout as well on Spyglass Ridge Drive, and same issues that we've seen with the Klotz Farm roundabout is the same here with the Spyglass Ridge, with a lot of right-of-way impact, utilities, and construction cost, which is almost close to $4 million. The last option that we analyzed here is the connection between Laurel Falls Lane to Knightsbridge Boulevard. This is a one-way connection between Spyglass Falls and Spyglass Hill. We recommend that we take out the bulb in that cul-de-sac in the Spyglass Falls and create a T intersection there in that neighborhood with only one way exiting on Knightsbridge Lane. That exit is controlled by a stop sign, and as we can see here, the cost impact is quite little compared to the other options. In addition, that the city already has the 50-foot right-of-way in that location. And here is the recommendation that the City of Fishers Engineering Department is presenting to you all for consideration. We have here a snippet of the matrix that we have in the report. This gives us the total approximate estimated cost for each of those with the pros and cons. And the City of Fishers Engineering Department recommends the option 2, which is the connection of a one-way between Spyglass Falls and Spyglass Hill. I'm going to go over some of the frequently asked questions that would address some of the issues and some of the concerns that we've received from the residents based on our communications and emails. Some of the common concerns that we've heard from the residents are the crashes at Klotz Farm intersection is the same across 116th Street. All of Spyglass Falls traffic will use this connector road. Home values will be impacted. Signals is a better option. Have we communicated this study with the HSE schools? The connector is dangerous, is at a dangerous location at Knightsbridge Lane, and there are a lot of parking concerns in Spyglass Hill. So looking at 116th Street between Cumberland Road all the way to Olio Road, we have multiple neighborhoods along this stretch, and we've looked at the failure to yield of right-of-way for these crash data. So basically what the failure to yield right-of-way is anyone that's exiting any of these neighborhoods turning onto 116th Street. So as we can see here, the Spyglass Falls entrance is about 3 to 4 times the amount of accidents that we can see just to the adjacent neighborhoods there of Sand Creek Woods and Archer Estates and Spyglass Hill. As we go through the neighborhoods all the way east to Olio Road, we can see that it's not comparable. None of these are comparable to the Spyglass Falls entrance. We can note a lot of factors in these other neighborhoods, but we are looking at the data and just pure crash information that we've received. And all of this crash data, all of that information is included in the report. We also looked at Cumberland Road, and the same criteria was used there, the failure to yield the right-of-way, meaning anyone exiting the neighborhoods and how many crashes are along this stretch. We took it from 106th Street all the way to 116th Street, and as you can see, there's only one crash at High Point Ridge as far as the yield of right-of-way.
Becky, if I could interrupt real quickly, this is over what time period?
This is from 2010 to 2025.
So 15 years?
Yep. And we have the traffic report here. We've consulted with our traffic consultant to look at the impacts to the traffic that's going to access this connector road. In the 2016 report, they looked at this connector as a two-way. So the information provided on the 2016 report gave us the amount of cars that are going to utilize this connection if it was an ingress-egress connection. In this report, this is only an egress connection, so people using that are going to be a little bit less than what we've seen in the 2016 report. And based on the information and studies that our consultant had, they are anticipating that is about 15 vehicles that are going to use this connection per hour in the peak period. Obviously, they're going to be used throughout the day, but the most amount that we are going to see on there is approximately about 15 cars, looking at the information from an entire day. There was also the concern about the home values, and what we did here is we really didn't dive in deep as far as the home values in the neighborhood. We looked at Spyglass Hill. There is a connection to Lake Stonebridge there, so it's similar to the connection. However, it is a two-way connection on Lake Stonebridge. And we looked at a house in the neighborhood away from the connector and a house right at the connector. And as we can see here, the home values are pretty much spot on with the trends. So that is just, and obviously the source here is Zillow. This is a comparison between the values of these homes from 2016 all the way up to today's value. As far as the signal warrants, in the city of Fishers, we warrant a signal based on 3 warrants: the 8-hour vehicle volume, the 4-hour vehicle volume, and the peak hour. So basically what this is if we look at the 8-hour vehicle volume, we use the information that we have on the MUTCD, and it gives you a threshold of the main line and a threshold of the side street, if you will. So if you look at Klotz Farm and 116th Street, we look at the 8-hour for 8 hours straight. They need to hit a certain value on 116th and a certain value on Klotz Farm. Unfortunately, we cannot warrant that for the first warrant. So it did not meet that at Klotz Farm and also on Spyglass Ridge. So after that, we go to the 4-hour vehicle volume. So when we go from the 8 to the 4, it kind of increases the threshold a little bit because you're looking at a smaller time range. So unfortunately, we didn't meet that also for the 4-hour vehicle volume. So after that, we look at the peak hour, and we see if that meets the threshold that we can see here in this table. And unfortunately, that did not meet for the 1-hour peak volume as well. All of this information in its entirety is included in the report. This is just a snippet of the table that we used for these 2 warrants. The communication with HSC schools, we've done our communication with HSC. We've talked to the Director of Transportation, and we discussed this recommendation to them, and they have expressed concern with their buses on their exit from Klotz Farm, and they also do not have any issues with Deering and Cumberland Road. They have actually said that if this connection was going to be done, it would be a lot safer for their students and the buses to use that connector rather than exiting on 116th Street, and they would also encourage it. So just for reference, HSC schools have about 5 different schools that use this area. So it's HSC High School, Fishers High School, Riverside Intermediate, Lantern Road Elementary, and 2 exceptional schools. So it's actually 6, not 5. My apologies. There was also the conversation of the safety on this connector. In any situation where we have an intersection, we look at the vertical sight distance and the horizontal sight distance. And we look at the intersection treatment. Is it a stop sign? Is it a yield? Is it a light signal? And we also look at the speeds on those roads. So based on all of that information, we did our checks for the vertical turning right and the vertical turning left, and also horizontal turning right and left. And as we can see here, they all meet. There is a discussion about some site obstructions that are located in that intersection. There is slight hindrance from one tree that we can see just south of that connector, and there's also a short timber wall that is north of that connector. Both of these potential conflicts are already in public right-of-way, so we have an opportunity to either relocate them or eliminate the issue if it does pose an issue with the site distance. And as you can see here, we did take some pictures of this location, and as you can see here, it is that tree is exactly where the cars would be if that connection was made. As you can see here, you can see that tree pretty clearly. We also traveled north on Knightsbridge Lane, and as you can see here, this location would be where the car would exit from that connector. This is the tree in question. We also looked at it in the field of where that connector, the car in the connector would see. This is looking left from the connector, so we're looking north on Knightsbridge Lane, and this is also looking south at Knightsbridge Lane. And as you can see here, this is the tree in question, so if that needs to be relocated, we can relocate it further within that connector road. There is some parking concerns that the neighborhood had mentioned, and this is just for everyone's knowledge. We wanted to present the neighborhood parking ordinance for everyone, and it shows exactly where they would need to park. If that intersection was to be introduced, there is a 30 feet distance from the stop sign, 20 feet from an intersection, and there's also the blocking of a driveway. You cannot park right across from a driveway. In summary, I know this is this presentation here is going to be available for everyone to look at. This is the public comment is open from now until February 25th. This presentation and amendment, like I mentioned, will be available to the public and also to the board. The board will review within the 30 days, and then we will come back to the February 25th and see what the board's thoughts are on the City of Fishers Engineering Department recommendation. And that is it.
Thank you, Mackie.
Thank you.
Just to be clear, that's not his city vehicle.
That is not mine.
Presentation. Want to be
It is
clear
not
on that?
mine. No.
Give the wrong perception here. I have a couple questions if I could.
Yep.
Cumberland Road is under design currently to be reconstructed. Can you explain to me what that intersection would look like currently coming out of the neighborhood when Cumberland Road's redone?
Right. That intersection will have a left turn in if you're traveling south from Cumberland Road. Cumberland Road will be widened to have a 15-foot lane and a median in it, so it provides you that extra space even if you're coming out of Spyglass Hill, and it will be a lot safer than what it is right now. So it allows.
Remind me today, it does not have a left turn in, right?
It does not.
You're just stacked up on
Yep.
the.
And it does not have a passing
blister.
blister either. So that will definitely be improved.
And then, coming into the neighborhood, is that a right turn lane or is it?
I think so. It's either a right turn lane or a taper outside of the traveling, the through traffic. So it takes them away from, and it's currently, I think that there's currently a right turn lane there, if I'm not mistaken. There's not, yeah. So we will have that.
So there's no right turn lane and there's no passing blister or
Right.
queue for a left turn in.
So that will be in the.
That'll all be redone.
proposed. Yep. And we're currently in the utility relocation phase of this project. We're just waiting on the lead time for Duke Energy to get their material.
Jeff, questions?
The two connection options that you presented with the cost, did that include the acquisition of the homes and the land, or was that just the construction?
It took an approximate value of the home, but it did not take the relocation costs. So there is some relocation costs that are going to be required.
On the crashes, and this is a difficult topic because one crash is, no one, I mean, that could be traumatic in and of itself, but the 31 crashes over that 15-year period, is that what's expected? I mean, is there an okay, because it's dramatically different than the failure to yield numbers at that intersection versus than everything else.
Right.
Is it due to the size of the neighborhood or the location? And do the police think that that's excessive for that particular location in relation to everything else? What?
The very unique location of this intersection compared to the Spyglass Ridge entrance exit is that taking a left, it doesn't really have that enough space, if you will, in the median for them to wait and see people coming. It's a quick, you have to get into that driving through lane right away, and the amount of obviously the traffic coming in and its proximity to Cumberland Road doesn't allow it to have a lot of gaps, because once let's say there's a stoplight on 116th and Cumberland, you still have right turn lanes, left turn lanes that come in, so we don't really see a lot of the gaps. So this will definitely detract some of that traffic out to
So it's safe to
Cumberland.
say right now, this intersection has twice as many car accidents as the next worst
Yep.
intersection on 116th Street.
Yep.
Is there any reason for us to believe that, for any other reason than if we don't do anything, is there any reason to believe that that number would dissipate in any way?
From the data that we have, there has really been, from 2016, even looking at 2016 to now, there was not really anything done, and we can see that the frequency of crashes remain constant. So we're hoping that any change that we can have for this intersection would alleviate some of those crashes and help some of the egress concerns.
And the average volume on 116th Street, I know, has gone up dramatically from the last time we looked at this till now. Is that expected to continue to increase? If we were to do nothing, which I realize no one's proposing that, but that volume's going to continue to increase, or do we expect it to level off at some point?
Well, I mean, 116th Street is the main artery of City of Fishers. We've seen a lot of development that happened from just I-69 all the way to Cumberland. Eventually, some of that development will stop. I honestly don't know when that development will stop, but we can see a steady increase yearly, if you will, but also take into consideration the last time that we did that impact fee study was COVID. So
I think one of the other unique factors that I think about, Jeff, is before we were really only focused on AM, PM peak hours, when people left to go to work, when they came home. But now you have, with the developments along I-69, you have a lot of people from the east side of Fishers, even in the 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, are coming eastbound, or I should say westbound, to get to those areas where before maybe there just wasn't a draw there. You know, so that was like an hour in the morning, an hour at night were congested. Now I think we're seeing more people drive just around our own community to some extent. Talk me through, Mackie, the one-way component of this. So how is it designed to ensure that it is one-way traffic? Or is it just signage, or is it the way that the actual intersection will be?
the connector designed right now is based on a 90-degree angle, and it's based on the signage. Obviously, the do not enter, the stop sign, and the one-way signs. We've looked at maybe making it just a right turn out. We looked at how that the driver experience is going to look like while you're in a car and you're turned pretty much almost facing southbound, and how you would look behind you to look if any car coming. So that puts you in a very, not saying compromising position, but a little bit of an angle to look back and make sure that there's no car coming or anything like that. So we wanted to make it as safe as possible and as easy to look left and right, instead of having to make that exaggerated turn to see who's coming in, and it just makes it a little bit better from the sight distance perspective.
And then my final question for today is, was there any consideration or design consideration? I know we haven't designed this, right? But for the homes that are adjacent to it, to buffer them from the road, is there anything that we could consider in that regard?
We can definitely consider putting in some fences, if you will, if that would help buffer those areas. We can look at putting in some landscaping, but we also don't want to impede the sight
Sure.
distance.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't
But
want to
all of that
intercept.
is available. There was a comment also, is this area going to be lit? If that is a possibility, we looked at it, and if there's the option to connect to an existing infrastructure that's there, that there's a service point nearby that we can just have a nice, just a light
I do not recall you would, is Cumberland Road, is the plan for that to be lit in the median?
I believe so. I'll have to go check, but I think so.
Jeff, any additional questions for today?
No, not right now. There's a lot to consider, and appreciate the time and effort you put into the report. It was extensive.
I do appreciate the thought that's been put into this. Do you, where would people be able to access not only your presentation, but also the report?
I'll have the link to the presentation available. I'll have to look at where we can host the large amount of data for this to be accessed and downloaded for the public. Right after this, I'm going to go talk to our IT director and see how this could be available and made possible for everyone to download it.
And just to be clear, so there's no conspiracy theories afloat, the presentation that you provided today is based off the information in the report that you're going to provide to everyone, right?
Yes.
So we're all looking at the same
Yep.
data, we're all considering the same set of facts, is that
Right.
correct?
It's the
There's no-
same thing. It's about 527 pages, so if anyone got 530, it's not mine.
Yeah, okay, all right. So we'll get that posted soon, and I encourage everyone to take a look at all the information. We will be back on February 25th.
Fifth.
And I encourage anyone that would like to share between now and then, feel free to email us. We'll record all that. It'll be on record. Want to allow neighbors to come in and have their conversation here. We'll have our other board member here as well. And we look forward to the discussion. Mekhi, thank you for the presentation today.
Thank you.
Lindsay, are there any other agenda items today? No other agenda items. Jeff, you have anything?
Nope.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I will make a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned.